Now, won't you be my spotter? Hey, you clicked on this video because you need a spotter a little bit to help you get through your Nasm CPT exam. Hey, congratulations first on being here and for taking that first step and becoming a CPT. Good job. You're going to crush the exam, okay? Deep breath, you're going to crush the exam. Hey, just a few days ago, I was in your situation, in your shoes. I know what the stress is like. All right, so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you kind of my process, the tidbits and the bread and butter of what you're going to need to know, okay? What I can't do in this video is tell you the exam questions and the answers. I can't do that because every exam is going to be different, okay? Just like every client's going to be different. Every exam is going to be different. Okay, but I will hook you up with some good information and some really awesome resources. All right, first things first, my process. 3 months ago, I ordered all of this amazing package from Nasm, got like 20% off on it. It included the online course, textbook, and study guide and study plan and access to fitness experts out in the field. I could ask them a question within 24 hours, have an email response back, and they were really good responses. And then also, I was smart enough to get the retest voucher. Didn't need it, but I got it just in case. Because I was like you, had no idea what I was getting into. You may feel like you took off more than what you could chew. You didn't. You're going to be just fine. You're going to crush it. All right, so what I did is I started off with chapter 1 and I went through the whole thing, all 23 chapters. I took all the quizzes and I took all the end of section exams, and then wherever I felt like I was uncomfortable or didn't know or understand the information well enough, I went back and reviewed it until I could understand it. And then when I was all done with that, I chose to take the online proctored exam. So I scheduled myself for that and gave myself 3 weeks to review all of those 23 chapters. Now, when I came to those 23 chapters at the end of that and came to those 3 weeks, I was like, I don't even know what to review. I don't know what's going to be on this exam. I don't even know where to begin. But I bet the OPT model is going to be riddled all over in that exam. And I'll bet you underactive and overactive muscles through all those posture, both static and dynamic assessments, I bet that's going to be on the exam. I probably better memorize that stuff. So I did. All right, well, now if you choose to take the online proctored exam, there's a whole nother layer of stress that goes in with that. And if you want to know how to combat that, just let me know in the comments below so that way I can walk you through, like I'll do a video and walk you through what I went through and how I got through it. All right, so the next thing I'm going to give you is a whole bunch of resources. Not only does Nasm hook you up with the course, the book, the appendix in the back of the book, they hook you up with a little study guide too, okay? You're going to say, that's not very little. Well, it's not, but it is very, very good. So what does it have on there? It has each chapter summary, and it has each section summary, but then it also has like these little tidbits of very important. So you might want to know that information. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether that specific thing is going to be on your exam or not, because you never know. Like I said, every exam is different. But what I will say is don't only focus on the stuff written in red that says very important. Focus on all of it because it is a really, really good review. Okay, so there's that bad boy. And then in the anatomy section, if you're not as brushed up on your anatomy that you hope to be, Nasm's got your back on that one too. In the appendix C to be exact, they have like a whole little section on some basic anatomy. But what's really cool is they tell you the concentric, the eccentric, and the isometric function of each of those muscles. And so what I did is I found out, memorized all the underactive and overactive muscles through the posture, both static and dynamic assessments. And then I tried to understand the concentric function of those muscles. And this right there helps you. All right, do you need to know that for the exam? No, that was just for me to better understand how the whole system comes together and why we need to do what we need to do with those muscles. All right, so the other thing that Nasm hooks us up with they're even thinking like, they're thinking ahead. You become a CPT, you are going to need to do both static and dynamic assessments on your clients, right? Well, Nasm hooks us up with a nice little checklist. And I thought, nice checklist, great study guide. And on the back of that checklist, all the overactive and underactive muscles memorized are all put right there for us on a pretty little chart. Memorize this stuff. At least that's what I did, and it paid dividends for the exam, and it's going to pay dividends for me when I go and start with my first clients. All right, so that was my process. Then I took my exam, but now I'm going to share with you, I'll continue to share with you the resources. In the show notes or the description or wherever, just click around down there, you will find my playlist, a huge amount of resources. Now, I search this baby out. I did like you're doing right now. You're clicking on everything that has anything to do with the Nasm CPT exam edition number 7. All right, you found a plethora of good stuff here, okay? And it really, really helped me out. Coupled with all of the resources from Nasm. Guess what? Nasm has a YouTube video, or it has a YouTube channel, right? So what I found is where they did their CPT 7th edition podcast with Dr. Rick Rickey. The guy goes through and has such an impeccable way of bringing the principles and the concepts together and tying them together and making them make sense. So check them out. Those are going to be down below, as well as another really good resource. And it's by Sort of Healthy. Jeff has done an amazing job of developing 2 videos of massive review of all 23 chapters. He'll say, this will help you prepare for what's going to be on the big test. And you know what? He's right. It really does help in preparation for the test, okay? But also, be sure to review this study guide. And then you'll find so many other folks out there on YouTube that are doing the very same thing. If you want, print their study guides or whatever, but find what best works for you. And the biggest thing I can tell you from experience, allow yourself enough time. There's nothing worse than getting up to the exam date and you're still cramming the night before and you're going to bed at midnight and you're getting up at like 5 in the morning to start cramming. Don't do that to yourself. Don't. Add the old college adjective to the whole thing. Before you take your big exam, get a good night's sleep, get a good meal in you, and go take your exam and go crush it. Don't cram for it. Study for it. Prepare for it. You're going to crush it, okay? You're going to do awesome. If you need any other information or any other tidbits, just let me know. Okay, by the way, before I let you go, bread and butters. What do you need to know for the exam? The bread and butter of Nasm is going to be the OPT model. Know that sucker like the back of your hand and you're going to do great, okay? Not just that, but amongst all the other study stuff. Know that OPT model really, really well. So here's how I decided to break it down. I took the first phase, the first level of, and I worked my way all the way up through the 5 levels, or 5 phases, 3 levels. And this is how I memorized each and every one of them. I started off with, I even built my own workout plan around them and undulated my workout plan in it, okay? So the first thing we're going to do with the client, we're going to warm them up. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to do some SMR, we're going to do some foam rolling, we're going to do some stretching. Is it going to be active stretching, dynamic stretching? Is it going to be static stretching? What level are we in our flexibility? Know where that connects into the OPT model. And then the second thing that comes into the workout routine is going to be core and balance stability. Okay, so know your sets, reps, and intensity level, and how much of a break to get in between each set, and know how to progress a client through each phase and level as you're working through these. All right, and then the next thing you're going to want is you're going to be your plyo or SAQ. Know your sets, your reps. I mean, that's called the activation phase of the workout. You know, you're not even into the workout yet. We're warmed up. Now we're doing core stability or balance, and now we're into the activation phase, which is going to be our plyo or SAQ. Know your sets, reps, know the intensities, know how much rest you get in between. for both plyo and SAQ. Now, you're not going to put them both together at the same time on your client. That's just mean. But memorize it as if you're giving yourself an option of which direction you're going to go with your client. Like, what is your client's goal? So are we sports specific, or are we just, are we, a gym goer, the typical gym goer? All right, well, begin to build that model in your mind of how you would cycle a client through that. You're giving them an option, plyo or SAQ. The next thing, the big thing, is resistance training. Sets, reps, intensity level. The biggest thing too in that is progression. You're going to want to know how to progress your client. What exercises are you going to use to better progress your client towards their goals? You're really going to want to know that. Know that stuff like the back of your hand, and know the OPT model like the back of your hand, okay? And you're going to do that with every single phase. There's 3 different levels, 5 different phases. You're going to want to do that through every single phase. And, phase, there's a couple of those phases in there that are a little tricky, especially with the sets and the reps and the intensity level. A little bit tricky, but you're going to crush it. The other thing you're going to want to know, like the back of your hand, is the overactive and underactive muscles through our static and dynamic postural assessments. Remember when I said memorize that? No joke. That really helped for me on the exam. Key trick, if gluteus medius or maximus is in an underactive muscle category, select that. Because, they're underactive in everything. You know why? Because we sit on them all day long. All right, anyways, enough silliness, set all that stuff aside. No doubt, though. The best way to memorize that, though, is like you're looking at the 5 kinetic different checkpoints, or the 5 kinetic checkpoints, right? And we're going to start off with what? We're not going to start off with the head and neck. We're going to start off with the ankles. We're going to figure out what's going on down at the ankles, the knees, and then we're going to go to the lumbar hip, or lumbar pelvic hip complex, and then we're going to go into the shoulders, and then we're going to go up into the head and neck. Memorize it, but like as if you are assessing your client in these areas. That will help so much. All right. I hope that this baby was very helpful to you. I have like a whole bunch of stuff in the show notes for you. Hopefully YouTube will let me put all that stuff in there. If not, I'll shorten it up and square it up, but I'll definitely include those resources. You're going to want those. All right, well, let me know how you do. Seriously, comment below. Let me know where you're at in your journey, and let me know how you do. I do know that you're going to crush it. All right, signing off.